All right, so now we move on to another hit. Johannes Thingnes back on top. I gotta be honest, he doesn't seem like he's the dominant Johannes Thingnes that we've had in the past. But there was a Reddit thread by user Every Tourist 9316, and they kind of brought this question up to the Biathlon subreddit about what stage of Johannes Thingnes career are we in, and they presented this idea that the greats have like basically four phases of their career. You have the electric beginning phase, the middle, imperious phase where everyone's just in awe. They have the three, the latter phase, and then four is the about to retire. And this person suggests that they think that we're in the phase three or the latter phase where everyone's just a little bit like, oh, this is boring now. Personally, I've been kind of in this sort of this is boring now for the last couple seasons, in my opinion. But I think we're actually looking at phase four, where they're sort of in the about to retire phase, and we have to realize that we were witnessing history. I don't see Johannes Thingnes going much past the Cortina Olympics, in my opinion. He's already talked about how he has the family, he has the kids now. He wants to spend time with them, and also when you just look at his performance, even though yes, he does have the yellow bib, he doesn't have that dominance that I think we're typically used to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I think he always seems to start the year a little slow. The first weekend at least for sure, takes him a little bit to get back into it. And then he kind of gets into gear and then starts winning and skiing 30, 45 seconds faster than everybody else. I think we're still waiting for him to kick into gear. He's kind of been getting by on having good whole races where he has to hit the targets to get on the podium. He can't afford the 1-2 shot buffer that he seemed to always have. But I think we are kind of, the biathlon community kind of taking it for granted. When he misses in his first pro and he goes into the penalty loop, we're all disappointed. And when he shoots clean, we're like, okay, cool. That's just what he does. But I think we have to appreciate it because, like you said, I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. I don't think he's going to make it a whole nother Olympic cycle, considering he's 31 years old right now and is starting to see everyone else catch up on the ski speed. His greatest strength is no longer as great of a strength as it's been in the past. But it does kind of feel like we're getting into that fourth phase you talked about, retiring. It's always sad to see a great athlete retire and the sport's kind of left in a new place where it hasn't been for a while. Unfamiliar faces at the top. Who's going to be the overall leader? We've pegged Johannes to be the overall leader for the past 5-6 years now without even second guessing it. I still think he's going to have an awesome season this year, a great season next year, and then we'll just have to see what happens after that.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. This is something to put into perspective. You mentioned that, he doesn't have that dominance on the skis like he used to have. Back in 2023, the year that he won 19 races and set all these records for most wins in a year and just absolutely blew the doors off of everyone, his skiing, like percent back from medium, which is sort of the standard metric for skiing, was minus 5.95. So almost minus 6% faster than the median skier. The second best skier of the season that year was Martin Ponsaloma, and he was minus 4.12. So Johannes Thingnes was skiing like nearly a full percentage and 3/4 faster. No, he was skiing a percentage and 3/4 faster than the next fastest guy, who had a massive advantage over the next fastest guy. This season, after the first trimester, believe it or not, Johannes is still actually the fastest percent skier at minus 4.71, but he's only 1/10 of a percent ahead of Sebastian Samuelsson, who is the next fastest. So it's funny because we're talking about like, oh, is he washed up? He doesn't seem as dominant. He doesn't have that secret weapon of his ski speed anymore. he's still technically the fastest skier out there. And from a performance standpoint, his shooting, I thought last year was great. His shooting is actually up this year from last year so far. So from a like a performance standpoint, just trying to see where his total hit rate is. He's still one of the better shooters in the field, not the best, sure, at 88.46%. From a performance standpoint, he's still overall the best athlete out there. So it's just kind of funny how, like, yeah, I mean, we're talking about this with the Norwegian team as well. We saw so much dominance last season and the year before that now it's kind of like, oh boy, like everyone must be worried because they don't have that same level of dominance. It's kind of the same for Johannes. It's like, oh boy, he must be worried. You know, he doesn't have that same level of dominance, but he's still the best. And also, it's sort of, hopefully this sort of shines a little light on just how hard it is to be this strong. I mean, we can't take for granted how dominant he was the last couple of years when you have this such incredible talent from the field. Any one of those other Norwegians on his team, you know, easily the greatest athletes ever. Mae, Sebastian Danielson, Emilian Jacqueline, any of these guys could go down as some of the greatest athletes of their time. And the fact that Johannes is so much better than them, I think it just shines light on how amazing Johannes Thingnes has been. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I do think, just looking at the overall, I mean, in my opinion, I think he's kind of got it wrapped up. I don't think – I think it would need a really big mess up or something special from him to blow it at this point, or it would take something miraculous from someone else. Like Strula would have to get extremely fast on the skis all of a sudden, or Emilian Jacqueline would have to just tighten up his shooting or something miraculously like that. Unfortunately, I don't think Thoreau or Samuelson are just at that level right now where they could have a miraculous, second part of the season. But yeah, I think he's got the yellow bib again. I really think the question is now, is he going to get the wins that he needs in order to surpass Ole Bjorndalen?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good question right there. Bjorndalen sits at 95, and Johannes right now is at 88. I think with the season Johannes is having, he's bound to get at least a couple more wins. And if he sticks around another year, we know he's going to win some races. So I think he should be feeling pretty good about himself in terms of catching Bjorndalen's record. But, in previous years for Johannes, a bad race would be considered off the podium. This year, he's been off the podium twice, and we're calling it, a bad season where he's falling off, which is just crazy to me. But I think Johannes, and we hear the commentators talking about this almost every race, that he's chasing this record. I think he might think it's cool to get the record, but he just wants to go out there and consistently have good races, keep, winning and proving that he's the top dog. And if that he gets there this year, if he gets there next year, I think he should feel pretty confident that he's going to get there eventually.
Yeah. I think this is a really interesting stat, and I was tweeting about this the other day, but Phil Maillet is currently ranked 8th all time for wins with 16. Tarjei Bo with his win, where is he? With his win, he's now 12th all time. That's pretty wild to think that Phil Maillet and Bo are both, or Tarjei, are both top 15. Here's Ligrid, 14th of biathletes all time. And they're just so overshadowed by the dominance of Johannes Thingnes Bo that I almost feel like they don't get appreciation. And Ligrid certainly does not get appreciation for how good of a biathlete he is in terms of historical perspective, because he's not winning every single race like Johannes Thingnes Bo is. So it's just kind of interesting when you put it in this perspective of all the biathletes to ever race and all these big names that are on this list. Phil Maillet is right in there And when I look at Field May today, I'm kind of like, he's washed. Like, Jacqueline's better than him. Perot's going to be better than him, but it's like, that guy is top 10 all-time biathletes. And yeah, I don't know, just kind of interesting when you put it in this perspective.